How's it going, guys? Shape here and welcome to the channel. This video is going to cover what I have found to be the best gold shuffles right now in patch 8.3. Depending on what professions you have available to you will determine which shuffles you should focus on. Some of these shuffles aren't going to require the auction house, so for you raw gold farmers, these will most likely be the methods that work best for you. For those of us that are willing to post on the auction house, don't worry, I have some options for you as well. I would, however, double check the auction house before doing any of these methods because on your server it might have a different economy than mine. So with that said, let's hop into it and find out what those methods are. Be sure to turn on your notifications, make sure you have that bell rung, and drop a like so you don't miss any of my future content. If you have any questions, drop a comment or tweet at me. Also, be sure to drop a comment on what your usual go-to gold shuffle is. The first shuffle I'm going to cover is going to be the River Bud to Crimson Ink farm. Now you're going to need a herbalist and inscriptionist to make this shuffle work. If you don't have herbalism, then you can buy the materials off the auction house if it is profitable for you to do that. River Bud is currently selling for under 2 gold on my server, so it's fairly cheap. I usually don't buy anything from the auction house unless the sale rate is just too fast in order for me to keep up with the demand. So with that said, my go-to route for River Bud is in the Tiergard Sound. This is the route I also use for Anchorweed, so this is definitely a bonus because you will be getting a ton of River Bud and a good amount of Anchorweed per hour if you do this. In order to mass mill River Bud, you will need 20 River Bud. If you decide to buy the River Bud, that means you'll be around 40 gold per mass mill of River Bud if your prices are similar to mine. On average, I was getting around 16 ultramarine pigments, 8 crimson pigments, and 2 viridescent pigments per mass mill. The only thing you are really worried about here is the crimson pigments because the rest of them don't really sell for much, so in the end you will have an abundance of them. The crimson ink is currently bouncing around on my server between 15 to 20 gold per ink. That means on average after one mass mill you will have 8 crimson inks to sell. Do a little math there and it will total out between 120 to 160 gold after you sell all the crimson inks. Since they are used in creating scrolls and other current content items, they tend to sell pretty fast for those who just buy the materials off the auction house. A little tip is to make sure you have the glove enchant to craft items even faster when you are mass milling to make things go faster. Also, the reason we're going after River Bud instead of other herbs is because River Bud when mass milled has the highest chance to drop crimson pigment. These are also usually the cheapest herbs on the auction house, so that definitely helps as well. I have tested this multiple times and the results are always favoring River Bud. The second closest would be Winter's Kiss, and I was averaging around 7 or so crimson pigment when completing the mass mill. The only reason to do the Winter Kiss farm over the River Bud farm is if your server is selling the Winter Kiss for less than the River Bud, or you're having a harder time farming the River Bud due to competition. The next shuffle we're going to discuss is the Stonehide Leather Gold Shuffle. Now this can be done in a lot of different places in the Broken Isles, but my favorite spot is going to be located here on the map and we're going to be targeting the Blood Gazers. If you are level 120, this is going to be very easy to kill all of these mobs. Once I gathered up as many as I could, I just did an AoE ability and one-shot most of the mobs. I would note that these mobs have a weird leash range, so I wouldn't try to get but a few packs together so you aren't leashing any of them. Since they die so fast, it really isn't that big of a deal to do it in smaller packs to ensure this. You will also want to make sure you have the Legion Glove enchant on one of your pairs of gloves to swap to while you are over here. The enchant is going to save you a lot of time actually skinning the mobs and increase your overall total of Stonehide Leather. Now if this spot is too competitive and you aren't able to get a good amount of mobs killed, then here are the rest of the spots you can farm for Stonehide Leather. I don't really ever have too many people out here with me, and if I do, we kind of just stay on our side of the zone and the mobs respawn fast enough for it not to really make too big of a deal. I would suggest you try this in War Mode on and War Mode off to see which one you have better luck with. After an hour of farming, I had around 4,000 Stonehide Leather. I also collected some greens and gray items that didn't really sell for too much, so I just vendored most of that away. Another item that was dropping from these mobs were Bloods of Sargeras, and I received 62 of those. If you head over to Dalaran, you'll be able to exchange these for an assortment of different items. I chose to turn mine into more Stonehide Leather for the purposes of this video, but I would check and see if any of the other materials they sell are more valuable on your server. After turning the Bloods of Sargeras into more Stonehide Leather, I had a grand total of 4,620 Stonehide Leather. Now onto the shuffle part of this farm. You will want to craft warhide pants on your leatherworker. Make sure you have rank 3 warhide pants, as if you don't, you will not be able to create as many of the pants in the end. If you already don't have this unlocked, then it's going to take you some time to level up your Legion leatherworking and unlock rank 3, because this is tied to some pretty annoying quest lines, so just warning you guys on that. With the 4,620 stonehide leather, you will be able to create 288 warhide pants. These sell to the vendor for 36 gold a piece, and these bad boys actually have a chance to proc and create an epic version of the pants that sell for 49 gold each instead. I have been doing this farm for quite a while, and I would say on average you get to proc about 15% of the time. Unfortunately, there isn't an enchant to make you craft these faster, so you just gotta sit there and do it the old fashioned way, which for the 288 pants took around 10 minutes to craft. After it's all said and done, you will be able to vendor all the pants, and for an hour of your time you will get around 11,000 gold for your effort. That is raw gold, guys, and you can do every single hour of every single day and never have to worry about the auction house. This is definitely a good one to add to your list if you haven't already been doing it. So I don't think I can stress enough how good the Atal farm is, so why not cover it again? This is another farm that will be for those who hate dealing with the auction house. Once you head over to Atal, you're going to be able to clear this dungeon in roughly 3 to 3.5 minutes by decently geared characters, so you only need to do this for 30 minutes before you have to wait on the lockout. If you are extremely geared, then you can do this in as low as 2 minutes a run, which is what I'm averaging on my Demon Hunter. If you are getting close to the 2 minutes a run, then this was possible to squeeze in a third reset into that hour period. That is really when you're going to start seeing a huge profit from this. Also, you want to be using the Dark Moon Firewater Potion in here to make sure you're clearing as fast as possible. This farm is going to be a whole lot better if you do have that leatherworker we've been talking about to make the Shimmer Scale Strikers, so you can sell them to the vendor for 57 to 69 gold depending on the quality. Now this is totally going to depend on your server whether or not it is more beneficial to level up a leatherworker. Since you probably already have skinning, it is pretty darn cheap, and even if you don't, to farm out leveling your leatherworking just by buying the mats on the auction house is fairly cheap as well. If Bloodstained Bones and Shimmer Scales are selling for more than 10 gold combined on your server and are selling quickly, then just putting the mats on the auction house will probably net you the most profit. Now if your server is selling them for less than that, or you just don't want to deal with the auction house prices, then this is where the leatherworking part comes in. Make the Shimmer Scale Strikers, sell them to the vendor along with all the other items you receive during your run, and you're going to be making around 18,000 to 20,000 gold per hour, or possibly more if you make a lot of blue quality items. No matter if you're selling this to the vendor or straight to the auction house, this farm is definitely one to add to your list and one of my personal favorites. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to cover a shuffle that anyone can do, and it doesn't really matter what professions you already have. It is definitely going to be more profitable if you have a skinner to go out and farm the materials, but it isn't necessary to make gold on this shuffle. So next up, we're going to cover the Heavy Savage Leather to Pristine Hide Shuffle. This has been floating around for some time, and it may or may not be as good as it used to be, but I've asked some of my viewers and most of them hadn't heard about it, so I thought it was worth covering in this video. So as I said, if you have a skinner, then you can go out and farm some savage leather and hand it over to your leatherworker to turn into heavy savage leather. If it isn't possible for you to get a skinner or a leatherworker, then you can go check the prices on heavy savage leather on your server and then compare it to pristine hide. For 10 heavy savage leather, you can get 1 pristine hide from any leatherworking vendor besides the one in Dalaran. I am not really sure why that is, but don't expect to see this if you happen to be at the Dalaran leatherworking supplies vendor. So for instance, on my server, savage leather is going for 69 gold right now, and it usually hovers around that on average. So to make a profit on the pristine hide, it would need to be selling for more than 690 gold on my server to make it worth doing this shuffle. It just so happens to be that on my server, the pristine hide is going for around 1100 gold. On a lot of the servers I have been doing this on, I have seen the pristine hide selling for as high as 1600 gold and as low as 1000 gold. The prices for heavy savage leather vary, but more times than not, this will make a profit in the end. The pristine hide also sells a lot faster than the leather as well, in case you are looking to just sell the leather. If you are a skinner and want to go out and farm the savage leather to have your leatherworker turn it into heavy savage leather, then you will be making even more profit from this. This totally depends on your preference if you want to go out and skin mobs or you just want to stick with a quick gold flip. Either way, this method is definitely an easy one to be doing right now, and I suggest if it isn't already on your list, then definitely add it to it. Well, there you have it guys, the best gold shuffles to be doing right now in patch 8.3. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and don't forget to let me know what other gold shuffles you're currently having success with. Please drop a like if you enjoyed the video to show some love for the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.